Mr. Arthur, did you know that I had to teach what a cassette tape was this week?
Did it say pomp and circumstance on the front of
It might have said pomp and circumstance. Mr. Arthur, what is pomp?
I don't know, but it goes with circumstance.
Yeah, for every circumstance, there's
There's a pomp. I don't know. When I think of pomp, I think of fuzzy little balls.
I didn't know that's what those were. Or what pomp? What do you call them? When we're doing homecoming, I don't remember what you said.
I can't remember.
Puff, pomp, poff.
No. I don't know.
I don't
can't
know.
remember.
I'd never heard of that.
It's pomp.
It's a pomp.
It's a pomp.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that what the song's singing about?
Probably not.
I always get the wedding march and pomp and circumstance twisted in my head. Are they similar?
No.
Can you hum the difference right now?
Pomp and circumstance is like a lot of dramatic up and down.
What about is pomp and circumstance dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun? Okay. What's the wedding march?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of it in my head, but it's not that.
No. You see, and then I get the Imperial March of the
Jedi.
Is that's the opposite of the Jedi.
Whatever, fine. I'm
The
sorry.
Imperial March is similar to the wedding march. It's the Darth Vader music.
Oh. I don't know Star Wars.
Whatever. So, Mr. Arthur. So, we got called out for not being funny last week.
Who said that?
I think it was that one.
It was that one?
That one right there.
Rude.
Rude.
I have a good time when I'm with myself. Thank you.
In fact, after supper, Mr. Arthur made us listen to a song that proclaimed that you have a great time by yourself.
Yeah.
All by myself.
All by myself.
All by myself.
It's stuck in my head on it.
Hey, here's the thing. Celine kills it. She does a great job. I think my guy did a decent time. Eric Carmen did a good job. Like,
It was 7 minutes of
you don't.
miserable music.
You can buffer, man. And think about it in terms of a needle. Just put that needle where.
No.
I guess this is going on long enough.
I'm tired of it. Let's move on.
Fine. Okay. He's tired of it, guys. Y'all don't even know what we're talking about for the past 3.5 minutes. So, Mr. Arthur, what do we do this week? Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
I know we did some carpentry work. I know
Yep.
we saw an award ceremony. I know we saw a ring ceremony. And we saw seniors go, bye-bye. That's all I know.
Mr. Arthur, do we have a senior spin out to
Nope, this isn't another school in another parish beside us.
redacted? Redacted. Okay. Whatever, Mr. Arthur.
I believe it was episode 1 that I called out another school. Maybe episode 2.
It was. I called out parishes
Yeah.
at one point.
No, I straight up called out.
You
a school.
called out, and I remember the school.
Oh, I remember the school too.
Was it one?
It was
It
one or
might have
two.
been. Yeah, it was one or
Yeah.
two.
Not going to do that again.
I remember one. You did a couple of things that were questionable that I did have to edit out because I didn't tell you that we were actually recording it for real.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
All right. So, in episode whatever this is, we did do projects this week,
Yep.
but we didn't want to talk about just projects because we've done that the past 3 weeks ish.
Yeah.
Feels like it anyway.
Long time.
Long time. And like horticulture did their planting things. They started one of their final projects, which was their Google site. And Mr. Arthur, I taught a first block that had 2 kids this morning. After seniors left, Act 34 got the cupboards a little bare.
Yeah.
And then we just had several out today because today is, they said if we were only in school 4 days a week that people would miss less,
They just like longer weekends.
just like longer weekends, which I can't knock them for a longer weekend. Longer weekend sounds great. But next week, Mr. Arthur, we have the most busiest week of the year.
I won't talk.
It's banquet week.
Yeah.
Actually, right now, it officially starts banquet week.
Yeah.
Mr. Arthur, that means though in 7 days And exactly 7 times 24 is what?
A long time.
In 168 hours, Mr. Arthur, we will be done with banquet. Yeah, you can do that
I can do anything.
for 168 hours. Were you ever one of those people that was like, if you're doing something you don't like, you're like, all I have to do it is for, and you just say like a number of minutes, and that would help? Oh, I did. I had classes in high school I did not like, and I'm like, I just have to be in here for 48 more minutes. I don't like. I can do it for 40. I can do anything for 48 minutes. I would do things like that to get me through the time. Anyway, so Mr. Arthur, I don't want to give him an ample amount of 0.2 seconds of silence that we also got called out for. I still don't know if that's a slam or not. Anyway, we had Ag 1 do an assignment, and you had a great idea that this would lead into this week's assignment. Ain't that kind of the deal? All right, so the assignment for this week, or actually this was last week for Ag 1.
Who can tell?
May 3rd. I made
What
them
is
date
time?
it.
What number?
I made them date it. So, Mr. Arthur, I had a couple of students with this, and you had a couple of students with this. We're not going to give names, obviously, but we gave them a couple of writing assignments. And the writing assignments, I will read verbatim off the board. Why are agricultural classes important? That was choice A.
Okay.
Okay. Choice B was, should Winfield Senior High School continue to offer ag courses? And if so, why? And I told them that they better say that we should. But then I was like, but if you really don't think so, okay, we'll just it out. But anyway, unbiased, we have their responses here. We've highlighted a couple of excerpts that we're going to give, and just kind of show y'all what our kids are thinking. So I'm going to start.
Okay.
This one had a couple of sound
good
bites.
paper.
It was not a bad paper, Mr. Arthur.
Look at there.
Anyway, one, why is agriculture important? They teach the next generation about agriculture. I think at the base of everything we do, that's really, we're teaching the next generation, and our primary focus is agriculture, and it's such an important thing. Because Mr. Arthur, I saw a TikTok yesterday.
Now you're speaking my language.
And
was it on your For You page?
Yes, and after it was, I got mad. Because I almost want to pause and then show you and have your live reaction. You want to do that?
Sure.
Okay. I want to pause the video real quick. I don't want any copyright, and then we'll come back with your. Okay.
See you in a minute. This is why we teach the future generations of agriculture, because that was a bunch of horse crap.
It's not good. Not good.
Man, that makes me mad.
Yeah. Imagine, I was drinking my morning caffeine, and I
Who didn't love that kid enough that they told me?
I don't know, man. Like I don't
That's
know.
a shame.
I saved that one that was naming the meat from animals.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show that next year. We're showing that.
Yeah, that's great.
And the fact that it had 1.2 million and I had to contribute just because we had to find it, it made me mad. But anyway, that's why we teach ag.
That's why we teach them.
That's why we teach ag. But the other thing said, several of our Ag 1 students put things that they haven't learned in ag yet. They know it's things that we cover.
Mm-hmm.
They're really excited. I don't know why the melting of metal together is such a hot button issue that they love to talk about. But we haven't covered that. And so when I got to here for this student said many of the life skills that they are teaching us range from being able to build a birdhouse to having the confidence to speak in front of a large crowd. It's not a life skill necessarily to be able to build a birdhouse, but with that, we're taught them how to use saws, how to measure, how to use hammers, and who doesn't want to hang a picture one day and use a hammer? So many of those things. And I had a couple of kids out here, Mr. Arthur, when they were building their birdhouse 2 days ago, and I had to take out nails for them, and I just, resetting them to zero kind of thing. They're like, and they've been trying. They're like, try to so easy. Let's just have fun. Like, girl, I've taken them apart a lot of misconstructions, burnouts. It's a practice, you know. And so really the practice and the life skills that we're teaching is a lot more than that finished product we get to take on. I think that's a real cool part of it.
So one of the ones that I've got here was a short, simple line, but I thought it was pretty impactful. It says, because it can change your future. And I think it's kind of interesting that you just talked about future generations. The student talked about how ag can change your future. And there's a ton of ways that ag can change your future, whether that's the job you get into or just the fact that you're an advocate for agriculture in the future. You don't necessarily have to have a job in the agriculture industry to be an advocate. So a lot of different ways that ag can affect your future, and this class can affect your future.
And that's what, you know, talking to some of Steve's old students this past summer, the fall, and, you know, a lot of them don't have ag jobs.
Right.
But the life skills that they picked up from Steve and from the program, you know, they carried them into whatever.
I'll just throw one out there, and I know she wouldn't mind me talking about it. Miss Candy Polk, I'm sure most of our students know, was on Mr. Vines' national livestock team, was on some dairy teams for him, and she can still recite her set of reasons that he made her remember. But that's really what's not important, is the public speaking aspect. She became a teacher. Now she works at the school board office, and all that can trail right back to this ag department.
And I remember that school board meeting that we were at before school started last. There was a lot of misinformation at the time. There's a lot of, you know, people just didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to do. Miss Candy popped up and just gave a very well constructed answer. It's something that you knew she'd been thinking about it, but also she just had the presence. And you could tell that she got that from somewhere. You know, but for sure. Mr. Arthur, this student said, ag classes are not only fun, but you learn while you're having fun. I think that's kind of
goal.
That's the goal. That's something that we really stress in Ag 1, because we had a great Ag 1 group. We have them. I'm sorry. You know, we have 8 more face-to-face days, and you know, it's a great group. We've enjoyed them so much, but we want them to have fun, for one, so they stay around.
Right.
But for two, it just makes the learning process so much smoother if you're enjoying it.
Absolutely.
We've had students say this is the only class they like. I don't like really stressing on those kind of things, but the fact that they do like coming to class, and it's not because we're goofing off, it's because we're learning and being constructive.
All right. The last one that I have, it says, wherever you go, there's always agriculture around you. That's pretty fair. I mean, you step outside and there's things that you see, especially living in Wynn Parish, with forestry everywhere. It's not uncommon to drive by a cattle field, or even to go more northeast in Louisiana and see agronomic row crops. You know, there's ag everywhere. And so it's important that you are ag literate, and you can be an advocate. And just like that TikTok Mr. Riley just showed me that got me riled up, if you know the facts and know how to put those facts out there, you can dispel any rumors like that.
Yeah, I think all those things that we're putting together from these really going hand in hand, really making a well-balanced picture. You know, the second thing I asked Mr. Arthur on the board was, should we continue to offer courses here? It's really just going for not a pat on our back, but like what, and I didn't word the question well, but I was really going for what would life look like at Winfield Senior High School without ag? What do we bring to the table? What are we doing? And simply put, and then this was in the middle of a longer answer, but if ag isn't in Winfield Senior High School, it would not be the same. And, you know, with my poorly constructed question, we got to the answer that I was really going for, because it wouldn't be the same. You know, when I was in school, I thought of Winfield for Winfield High School, Winfield Senior High School. I thought of it for the FBLA program and the FFA program, because I was a part of those things, and they always had well representation in those. And past few years, you know, with get to know Steve and, the presence he has in our community is just crazy.
Yeah.
And what he did, it wouldn't have been the same without it. And what we've done this year, it wouldn't be the same without it. So, what, do you have anything else about that? Okay. So, Mr. Arthur, we thought this would be a great way to build into their assignment for this week. Would you like to talk about it, or you want it to just be typed out for them later?
Well, I think we can kind of talk about it, and then we'll give the exact prompt to them later, or after at the end of this video. We want to hear from you a couple of things. Kind of some of the same information we just talked about. Why is what we do here important? But also tell us about the year you've had in ACT. Some of you, this was your first year in ACT. Some of you have just finished. Seniors obviously won't be doing this, but some of you just finished your third year in that.
Right.
And so kind of tell us about your journey. How did this year change your thought of ag? How did this year affect your FFA career? Some of you competed for the very first time, and that's always special. We hate that it was virtual, but we want you to come back next year and do it in person. So a lot of things to think about. And I want you guys to know, I'm sure Mr. Riley will say the same thing, take this serious because we really want some good information from you. We want to compile this and see, maybe there's things we need to change through these. We'll see that.
Yeah, I thought of two things. One was, I hope I can remember what I was thinking when you were talking about them and how they like this year in comparison to the time before. So much of our curriculum changes from year to year.
Yes.
And like we were talking about just a few minutes ago, we didn't teach plant science in Ag 1.
Right.
And so there might be a couple of Ag 1 students who and we did have, when we did forestry, I didn't tell you this, but when I had to do my proctor work, there was a couple of jokes made about a couple of students in particular just making a lot of forestry comments when they're in math and talking about forestry and trees. And that really, put a smile on my face. And, you may not have gotten to your most favorite part of ag.
Right.
So many of these kids put welding on their paper, and none of those kids have had welding. And so maybe that is when they get to welding, maybe that will be the best thing, or maybe they'll find something else. And so it maybe this year is what I'm trying to get at is maybe this year you got your thing. Maybe you got to learn your thing and you really loved it. And so we'd love to know what that was and how it set up for it.
Speaking of you're finding your thing, this year we offered vet science for the first time in the spring. But how many kids do we have say, I wanted to be a vet? This was their thing and had never been offered before. So if you found that thing, let us hear about it.
Yeah, because we had a sophomore that gave us kind of that feeling that wordage was used. We had a couple of freshmen that said, this is why I took ag.
Right.
So I'm glad we did it.
Really glad we did it.
So, yeah, Mr. Arthur, like the other part I wanted to say, you said compile all this, and I'm just going to tell them part of what I told you earlier is, we love video. We love, putting things out there. We would love to use these in the form of like commercials and then promotional stuff, because me and you are going to be working all summer on promoting the department, talking to maybe sponsors and talking to community leaders. And we would love to use this information because there's nothing people love more than hearing what the kids have to say. We can talk all day.
All day.
But what the kids say is really what helps a lot. So I think, like Mr. Arthur said, if y'all take this very seriously, it would be much appreciated by your ag teachers.
I'll say this for my classes, and I'm sure you'll be fine with this. Normally your Friday assignments are 25 points. This is going to be 50. And we're going to put a word requirement on this, and you'll see all that in a minute. And if you don't meet that word requirement, you will not get full credit. So do take it seriously, because we genuinely want to hear it, and we're going to read each and every one.
Yeah, for once, I think, and you'll agree, this video is just a supplement to help.
Yes.
This video is not necessary to complete this assignment. And maybe that'll help some. But do you have anything else, Mr. Arthur?
Don't.
Mr. Arthur, I guess a month or so ago, you started giving, I guess really, gosh, like 2 months ago, you gave like a little tip, a little life adventure tidbit. You got anything for me?
Yeah, I got something for you.
Go for it.
If your shoe has a hole in it, don't wear it in the rain.
That's good. Wow, Mr. Arthur.
Wet feet are bad enough, but really wet feet are terrible.
You know what I hate more than wet feet? Wet socks.
Mm-hmm.
One time at Tech, like I was a freshman and I was commuting, and so there was this low spot in the bricks where we'd walk across and it would gather water. I knew after that point, but I didn't know then. And I walked through 3 inches of rain, got all into my shoes, and I ran in the bookstore and I bought $12 pair of Tech socks just so I wouldn't have to go to class.
Get there.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than raising feet.
Gosh, Mr. Arthur.
I got another tidbit of information.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to get offended. So if you think it's offensive, just cut it out. A mullet should have been left in the 90s.
I think, Mr. Arthur, I'm checking when they said now is the time that we should wrap up.
Sounds good.
This has been fun. What we're